Hello, and welcome to Fiberdragon. My name is Jessica. I'm also known as Iekikadragon on Ravelry, and this is episode 16. Welcome, thank you for joining me. Let me go ahead and tell you, this video has been a journey. I've tried some new things. It has been chaos. This is the 5th time that I've tried to record this. So it's a mess. Anyway, take 5. I know you're seeing it, but wow, it has been a journey. So there may or may not be an intro. If there is, I just want to let you know that I used AI generated art to do it. I know there is some controversy around that. I was having fun. I enjoyed myself. I will also put that down in the description so that it is very clear that is not a made item. It is generated art. So anyway, let's get into the good stuff, shall we? Since I have already recorded this 5 times, things are a little complicated, but I'll try to keep you as into it as I can. So I'm going to start with my oldest work in progress, which is the Infinity Blanket by Maxim. And I have already moved all of my progress keepers, so I will try, thank you very much, I think that was Molly. I will try to the best of my ability, show you where I was. So in this case, I was down here. So that's all the progress that I made with the Infinity Blanket. It is by Maxim. I am using Starlight yarns in the colors Natural and Red Wine, and this has been on my needles for 38 days. You would think I would have this memorized by now. Anyway, you know what's funny with the corner to corner blankets? I don't know if this happens to you, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, but there is, well, I know I've talked about it before, but I don't know if you've heard it. There is a point when and it's no matter what size blanket I'm making, when I get to the longest point in the center, I experience a little bit of slog, a little bit of tedium, a little bit of, okay, this is taking a very long time. And I know this is happening, and I know it's part of the deal. So I just finished the increases on this, and now I'm at a point where in the pattern they call it the rectangle portion or something like that, where it makes a nice little corner so that way it matches the other corners of the blanket, which I think is a good, nice touch. And then I'll start the decreases. And I know as soon as I get into those decreases, it's gonna feel like it's flying like the wind. Not only do you have less stitches, there's the excitement about being at the end of the project, so it just goes so quickly, and I'm so looking forward to it. So I've moved the stitch marker, obviously, and I changed sides on it this time because in the pattern they recommend that you put a marker on the odd row sides to keep track of something in the pattern. So that's what I'm doing there. And I'm pretty happy with the progress that I made. There's a lot of ends around where I had to put in a new skein. Look at that little fluff. I'll just trim that off. But a new skein was added, so there's all these ends to weave in. There's more on this side. And mid-project, not counting all the ends on the end. How many times can I say end? So I will weave these in probably this week if I have time, because I like to do it mid-project so that way it doesn't feel so overwhelming at the end. I don't really mind weaving in ends, but there is something about if you have a lot of them at the end of a project, it gets a little bit much. So I'm looking forward to this. I still don't entirely know because I haven't looked if the border will cover those ends, so I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that they will. Otherwise, I'll be weaving those all in at the end. So that's where I'm at with this project. I think it's going really well. We did cross into, this is supposed to be a gift from last Christmas for my dad, and I was like, okay, I'm going to send it to him. I kind of was thinking I would be done by now. I don't know why I was thinking that. I know how long I take with blankets, especially when I have other projects going on. And so we've crossed that threshold, as you know, where we are now past the halfway mark to Christmas. And part of me was thinking, well, maybe I'll just give it to him for this Christmas. But then I started to feel bad, and I was like, no, that doesn't feel right. So he'll probably get this in the fall, and it will just be a nice little fall gift, you know. And he lives in Colorado, so it is a little bit cooler there, so maybe they'll even be using it by then. So that's that project. My next project is my Cercis top by Amelie Designs. I'm starting to memorize that one. Now this one, I started in one of the times I filled this to move it onto some tried on tubing, and I dropped some stitches, and so I had to stop and fix it. It was a hot mess. So this is still in hot mess mode. I've fixed all those stitches that I dropped, but it is partially on tried on tubing. You feel me, you know what I'm going through. It's fine. So I have moved the progress keeper, and it's inside out. What is happening? So I'm not entirely certain where I was. The second time I filmed it, there was, I think, so right here is a stitch that's poking out a little bit. And I think that is because that was the one that was being tugged on with the stitch marker. So my best guess is that I was right here, and I've made it through, yeah, and that would make sense. I had kind of gotten into the pink just a tiny bit. So yeah, that's pretty good progress. This is the progress. So we had guests visiting this week, and this is the one that I worked on most. That surprised me. I didn't think this was going to be the project that I worked on the most while they were here. But it ended up working well. The stockinette, the pattern was repetitive enough. I still had to look it up every other row. However, every other round. But once you get, you know, it repeats throughout the lace. So hard to explain, but I think you know what I mean, right? That I could memorize it enough to get around the sleeve. You will notice I have now separated for the sleeves. This green yarn is not part of it. It is just waste yarn that I'm using to hold the sleeves. And I've started working on the body. Now what's so cool about this pattern is the lace continues all the way down to the hem. So I will continue this lace pattern in the underarm area and down the side of the body, which I think looks really nice, gives some visual interest, helps lengthen your body a little bit. And so that's what's happening there. I am really enjoying the fade on this. It's coming across pretty well right now, but this area, the color, sorry about my voice, the color that I'm in right now is genuinely what I would consider peach flesh color. You know, when you cut open a peach and the inside, not the bit around the pit, but the fleshy bit. That's what color this is, which reminds me that the yarn that I'm using is Wollelfe yarn in Peach Blush. Doesn't that make so much sense? This has been on my needles for 16 days, which I'm really happy with this amount of progress for 16 days. I'm just pleased as punch, but I've been excited about it. This is what I wanted to work on. In the drama of dropping stitches, I had gotten to the part where I split for the sleeves, and I am a little concerned that this is going to get too big for a couple reasons. One, I did decide on the size larger than I would normally go for because of what my gauge was giving me. But then I was watching, it came up twice this week, and the one that I remember for sure that it was in was Fruity Knitting. And in Fruity Knitting, they talk about how silk lengthens once you block it. So, oh boy, hold on to your hats. I'm really hoping this fits. The arm seems a little bit big, so I'm a little bit nervous. So I did try it on. Well, I tried to try it on, and I didn't have any needle stoppers on or anything. I put it on, dropped a whole bunch of stitches. Oh goodness, thank goodness it was in the stockinette portion, and I was able to easily fix it. But I said, okay, I need to go get some try-it-on tubing because I have lost mine in the accident. So I went and I bought some try-it-on tubing, and it came with these cute little stitch markers. So that's my acquisition. And it's just funny to me because the little, oops, I just dropped one. The little card right here says, hold it right there, Kit. Keep your stitches from disappearing into the universe, which I think is hilarious. That's so funny because I drop stitches all the time. But here's the issue. When I was putting it on the try-it-on tubing, it popped off the needle and I dropped a bunch of stitches anyway. So I'm slowly, very slowly trying to get this onto the try-it-on tubing. I'm trying to be extra careful because I do want to still try this on. If it's too big, I might continue it anyway and end up gifting this shirt and then making it again, because I'm not sure that I can start this over again. Because if you remember, I have already started this over. I'm not sure I can do that again. So we'll see what happens. But no matter what happens, I am enjoying this shirt so much. I love the pattern. I think it's beautiful. And I love the yarn. I think it's absolutely lovely. So I will be interested to see how it blocks out, because it does look a little, you know, a little popcorny. I guess once you get away from it, it doesn't. Oh, that's stunning. Anyway, so that's that. I don't know if this is going to be short or long. I've recorded this so many times now, and so we'll see what happens. Okay. The next thing that I have on my needles is my snake socks. So this one has changed quite a bit. Sorry. Okay, so here's what happened. Let's just get into it. These have been on my, I am not even on the second one. This has been on my needles for 14 days now. I have decided to go ahead and focus on this week. A, because that's long enough for a pair of socks. And B, because I have a reason now that I found another project. So I think I was stalling out a little bit because of that fear of not knowing what to do next. And so I know I have one more in this series, and I will finish that. And then I have one of our neighbor's little girls. She always talks to me about my knitting whenever I have it out, and she's just lovely. So I told her I would make her a pair of socks, which she'll probably wear as a pair of mittens, but that's another story. So now I have the motivation to want to finish these, and I think they're coming out really cute. So here's what also happened. I had decided that these would be my focus this week. When I originally started filming this, I had just finished the heel. I didn't work on these much this past week. If you remember, I had made the heel flap, but I had forgotten to turn it. And so I had to frog it. And I found this out about myself too. When I frog something that I am not completely frogging, but going to pick up and continue working, I like to stop a row or two before I actually need the stitches. That way I can tink back a row. I can make sure I haven't dropped anything, nothing in the, if there's any patterning or cabling or lace or anything, that way it's all where it's supposed to be in the pattern. So that's just me. That's how I do it. I can't just frog right down to where I'm supposed to be and pick it up, because that makes me too nervous. I'm not that good of a knitter, I guess. So I'll frog a couple rows, 1 or 2, depending on how simple or complicated the project is. So I did that. I frogged what I had done of the foot, finally turned the heel, and that is where I originally started filming. Well, because I had decided that this was going to be my focus, I have been working on it since then, and I have worked that much just in the past day or so. So that's where I'm at. I don't even know what to do with the progress keeper at this point. I think I'm going to leave it at the edge of the heel because that's where I originally moved it to and have been working. And so it's going to be weird. The whole thing is just so weird. Anyway, I'm looking forward now to finishing these. I think I will wear these socks a lot once they're done. And I think that's, oh, I should tell you they are VK yarns. This is the colorway Red Bellied Black Snake. So, and the progress keeper is by JoJo's Art Studio. So yeah, that's where I'm at with these. And like I said, these will be my focus, and I'm ready and I'm motivated, so let's keep going. I'm very excited about all 3 of my projects now, which is a really nice feeling. However, I do say it's going to be my focus. Next week, I am going to go on a trip, which I'm so excited about. Welcome back to quote unquote normal life where I can get out of the house and do things. I'm going to go visit a family member who I miss very much and I've been wanting to see. And so I'm going to go do that. It will affect my filming. So I do plan on filming, but it might be in a hotel room. It might be, hey, I didn't have much time to knit. I don't know what's going to happen. It will be as much a surprise to me as it is to you. So that's my plan. Of course, things can change. I am going to take at least 2 projects with me to work on. I probably won't take all 3. Even though it's a road trip and I'm packing the car, I think that 3 would just be way too much. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Also, as far as gaming goes, it's changed. Wow. So I did play last night. We played Tomb of Annihilation. We were missing Darwin, but we had everyone else, and we are in a big dungeon. It's not a dungeon, but a big dungeon of snake people. I can't remember what they're called. Nagi? Something like that. And so we're in there looking for a missing cube. We're fairly certain the cube is in there. But man, we're having to fight our way through. We did not get in there with any sort of diplomacy or anything. So we're fighting our way through, and that just means a lot of different encounters. So we're plugging our way through that. Our health is maybe not the greatest, especially because I've DM'd this portion and I know what's ahead, but that's okay. I'm not spoiling it for anyone, and I'm not being like, oh, we should heal up or anything like that. So I'm just letting it happen the way that it's going to go. So that's fun. That is with Galaith, my barbarian. She did pretty well this last time. And I remembered she could do some things when she's not raging, because I didn't want to use up all my rages. So she got to use some magic. She got to teleport. That was kind of cool. So that was fun. Anyway, should have a game tonight for Pathfinder. And I found out also, so the Dungeons and Dragons game, you can watch that on Maan on Twitch on Sunday evenings, most Sunday evenings, not all, but most. And then with the Pathfinder game, which will be tonight, Monday, you can watch those on Pepperial on Twitch, but also he has put some of our past episodes up on YouTube. So you can also watch it there. It's not from the very beginning, Those are basically lost episodes. He didn't capture them from Twitch before they disappeared into the ether, but he did start capturing them, and so I think it's around episode 30-ish. So if you're interested in that, it is now also going to be available on YouTube and from Pepper. So there you go. As far as what I'm reading, I have finished Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman. That book, it was interesting because I kind of predicted the ending of some of the outcome, but the emotions tied to that ending were very different than what I expected. So that was interesting. Kind of a dark read, not super light and summery, I guess. Even though it's based in the summer, it's all set in a summer setting on a Greek island. So, well, most of it's on a Greek island. Anyway, I would recommend it, but it probably not my favorite book, but it was good. Next, I also finished The Art Thief by Michael Finkle. That one I didn't even talk about. It is a short book. It is a true story about one of the most prolific art thieves in history. In fact, the most prolific art thief other than wartime thieving. And so that was a super interesting book. I was a little disenchanted with the ending. And I cannot tell you if it's because the way the author wrote it, or if it was just the nature of the natural of what actually happened, right? The author can't change what happened. So I can't tell you if it was, oh, okay, or, you know, the ending was just not satisfying, or if it was the way the author put it forth. But whatever the case, I was a little disenchanted with the ending, but it was very interesting to read about this. It is modern history. This all happened in the late 90s. I think some of it happened in the early 2000s. So recent history, and it's just kind of shocking that he just got away with this for so long. Yes, I would recommend reading that if that's something that interests you. It is short, it is fast. And I got it from the library, which I can go to the library again, which is almost as good as a bookstore. You go, you get the physical book, and then it doesn't take up any space when you're done with it. So I'm loving that I can go to the library again. So I immediately, after I was done with The Art Thief, picked up another book. I picked up The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Oddly, I have never read this before. I know it has quite a lot of references in our current culture. It also has been referenced in several books that I have read throughout my life. So I figured it was time. I've never read it before. And it's a scary book. It's not Stephen King scary, but yeah, I think I'm gonna need a really light, fluffy read after all this stuff. Just some light fluff. So I am glad that I'm reading it, though. I feel like it's probably one that I should have read a while ago. So those are my physical books. There's something about a physical book I just love to have. On my Kindle, I am still reading The Court of Frost and Starlight. I thought I would be done with that one by now, but I go through a strange thing when I read on an e-reader. I love e-readers. I used to have a Nook. I now have a Kindle, and I love that they're easily portable. You can take big giant books in just a little space. You can read at night easily, but there's always something after I've read on it for a while where I just want a physical book again. I don't know what that is. It's just the way I am. So I did take a break from the Kindle, but I will get back to it because I do like the books, and I also like getting books on my Kindle. So that one was by Sarah J. Maas. It is the 4th in the Court of series, and I don't know if I'll be done with it next time or not. Maybe. And finally, what I'm listening to on Audible is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. I am a couple hours into this book, and I am not entirely sure what it's about. It's really well read. It's very well written. I don't know why I have not had the attention span to focus on this book. It is, I am excited about it. I don't know what's going on. I think it's just not the right time for it. But I do know that there was, in the very beginning, there is a body that shows up, and I'm fairly certain, then I think we go back in time, and it's just kind of all the events leading up to this body showing up. So I am interested in it. I think my attention span's not super focused on it right now. Part of it was I was too excited about the physical books, and part of it is I think I really do need something that's not about death. So yeah, I think that will be my next focus, is to read a book that's not about anything scary, anything death, just some light, fluffy nonsense. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been reading. I'm sure I've forgotten some things. But yeah, since this is my 5th time recording, I think we're gonna leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me. This truly is a joy, and I love reading your comments, and I really appreciate you. Happy crafting, happy gaming, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.